Hey everybody, welcome back to Zion Finances 101. Again, I'm Kent Wilson, proud to serve as a pastor of Zion Evangelical Lutheran Church. Today we're looking at part 5, which has to do with foundation income. Again, this is kind of a little known aspect of the finances at Zion, and even though it's little, it's sometimes some confusing for people as well. So try to back up. I explained a little bit of this in one of the earlier videos. But some time ago, a couple at Zion who had died had left a large bequest. They left a bequest to Zion, and we're going to cover that in the endowment portion in the video to come. But they also established a separate foundation. This is a foundation separate from the church that functions as its own endowment per se. So there's this large investment that I believe is more than a couple of $1 million. So it's a relatively large sum that is a foundation separate from Zion. And the way they've set this up in their generosity is they have said that on December 31st of every year, whatever that fund is worth, 5% of it is dispersed among 8 different organizations. And Zion Lutheran Church happens to be one of those 8 organizations. And to be specific, we receive 18.75% of whatever that 5% disbursement was. All right. So just in raw terms, if the disbursement was $100,000, I have no idea, then we would theoretically receive $18,750. It'd be 18.75% of whatever the disbursement is in any given year. Okay, so the way this is set up, again, this is back in, I believe, 2007 when maybe that was established, but it may have been 2006, somewhere thereabouts. It has been completely dependent on the market and how the investments grow, or, as was the case in 2008, shrink. But we have received anywhere from $14-some thousand to $22-some thousand during my time here thus far, every January. So the value is determined as of the 31st of December, and then sometime in the middle of January we receive a check from the foundation for our share of that disbursement. That comes to Zion Lutheran Church Council. And so you could say that Church Council could determine how we would use that money, but in light of kind of how our Constitution is set up, and also simply out of respect and consideration for the congregation as a whole, the Church Council has chosen to have the congregation determine how that money is used, or at least that has been our past history. People could argue that it could simply go into our general fund, and that's true. It is a completely unrestricted gift. We as a church can do whatever we would wish to do with it. We could put it in one of our savings funds, we could put it in the general fund, or we could designate it for a particular use. Thus far, we have designated the foundation monies for the internship program. Now I'm going to do a separate video on how the internship program works from a funding standpoint, because it's a complicated little thing. But at any rate, that's what we have done, is we've designated that to help with the internship program. And there is also some other funds that help with that through the church general fund offering as well. But again, I'm probably getting off subject. But so far, we've had a congregation designation of how the foundation fund money is used. Again, that comes in once a year in January. It is dependent upon the market. Thus far, it has ranged from $14,000 to $22,000, and it is money that we as a congregation can choose how best to use. And thus far, that's how we have handled that particular fund. In the next video, we'll look at the endowment fund, which is another fund that is sometimes confusing to people in terms of how it works, but I think you're going to want to hear what I have to say about that.